Hello, BBYO. I'm here today with Deborah Lipstadt. I'm Ariella Ayenesazan from Swanee, Georgia, in Greater Atlanta region, hailing from Mizrah BBG number 2548. I'm honored to be here today with Deborah Lipstadt, who is the U.S. Special Envoy to monitor combat and anti-Semitism today. So, Deborah, what does it mean to be here today at BBYO International Convention and to speak to thousands of teens?
Well, this is my not my first rodeo. I was here a couple of years ago. You were also in Dallas, but you were at a different hotel. So I was prepared for the energy and the noise, and I didn't bring my earplugs. But it's energizing. It's energizing, especially for someone such as myself. I work in the State Department. I'm in the State Department every day if I'm not traveling the world. Um, and sometimes I don't get a chance to experience what we're fighting for. I know we're fighting, my job is to fight against anti Semitism, nominated by the president, confirmed by the Senate. But coming here reminds me what we're fighting for.
That's so powerful. Can you share a little bit to us about your position as the U.S. Special Envoy
Mm-hmm.
to monitor and
Mm-hmm.
combat
Well, the
anti-Semitism?
position has existed since 2006, was filled in 2006. So I've had a number of excellent predecessors, really, and they laid the groundwork. Um, Importantly, a few years ago, a little over 2 years ago, the Congress elevated the position to a level of an ambassador, which is the highest level it's sort of you can achieve in terms of means you're a representative of the president, you're a nominee of the president. Um, and They were great. They laid the foundation for what I'm able to do. Uh, they were almost at a disadvantage because while all of them cared deeply about anti-Semitism, passionately about fighting it, few of them came with the privilege that I have had of spending close to 30 years studying it, writing about it, writing books about it. So I'm able to build on the foundation they laid, and to bring my years of academic training and real life training, because I was also sued for libel by a Holocaust denier. So I saw anti-Semitism in the courtroom. I've seen it in the academic world, and now I'm fighting it in the political world. Um, I've traveled to many countries, sometimes countries where there have been instances of anti-Semitism, and I say to them, this is something that really concerns the United States government. I'm here, I speak on behalf of the United States government. I certainly, consult with my colleagues at state before I go out. I don't make US policy on my own, but I'm part of that process. But I'm also doing something very exciting. You have heard of the Abraham Accords, the
Yes.
agreement between the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, and hopefully soon other countries as well, to change relationships with Israel, but also as part of that, and that's really a Middle Eastern thing. That's between them and Israel. But America strongly supports that effort and strongly encourages it. Both the previous administration, which helped craft the Abraham Accords, and this administration, which is pushing them forward. Um, but it's also that part of the world and some of those countries, not necessarily Muslim majority countries, etc., have for decades been exporters of anti-Semitism, sending imams to Europe who preached anti-Semitism in Friday sermons. And that's beginning to change, not in every Muslim majority country, but in many. And if we can help that, if we can foster that understanding, and foster the difference between a important and significant geopolitical crisis in the Middle East and attitudes towards people who are separate and apart from that, and prejudice, I think that would be very important.
I think that'll make some good change. So, what are some of the main challenges in fighting anti-Semitism and hate today?
I'll tell you, first of all, many people don't understand what it is. And there's something called the International Holocaust Remembrance Association definition, which has been working definition. It's a guideline helping companies, governments, police forces, whatever, understand what is anti-Semitism. It may seem strange that people don't understand it, but they sometimes don't quite get it. In part because Jews often don't present as do the victims of other forms of prejudice, whether they be people of color, whether they be people with a certain sexual orientation, identity, whatever it might be. And people say, well, what are they complaining about? What's their problem? But we know things can change on a dime. We know you can look quite secure and come from a nice home and well established and stable, and you go to school and your friends in this nice middle class. I'm not saying that anti-Semitism has anything to do with the class, but this nice school start teasing you. Oh, you're the Jew. Here's a penny for or
Yeah.
all sorts of things, which make you feel, first of all, bad, like make you feel bad and make you say, well, maybe I should take that Jewish star and put it underneath my shirt. Maybe I shouldn't wear it to school. Maybe I
Absolutely.
shouldn't tell them that I'm going to be out of school for Seder. Just say I'm missing class tomorrow or something. It can be very disconcerting. And now we have guards. Any synagogue, any JCC, any federation, any Jewish institution building, you can't just walk in. I go to a synagogue in Atlanta where we have a guard every Shabbat. Every time there's something, a police officer, a security guard, and volunteers from the synagogue who also participate in the security. There's a wonderful church across the street, a very large church. There's no guard there. The doors are open. So it impacts the lived lives of Jews.
I agree. And so I have one more question
Sure.
for you. So this summer I will be taking a trip to Poland also for the first time, and I'll be visiting some of the Holocaust sites. So I know that just a few weeks ago you took a very powerful trip as well to Poland with the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff. What was that like as an experience for
Well, I've been to Poland many times. I've been to the Holocaust, the German concentration camps that the Germans established in Poland many times. But I anytime I walk through the gates of Birkenau, and which was the killing site, the largest killing fields in the world, um, it doesn't matter if it's my first trip or my 23rd trip. I don't know, I've been that many times, but my 13th trip or something. The second gentleman kept asking me, how many times have you been here? I said, I don't really know, because it's been so often. But you walk through, and what you hear resounding in your ears, louder than anything you could ever imagine, is the silence. The silence of the children whose little shoes you just saw piled in a pile in the museum part. The silence of the young scientist who never got to do her science, the mother who never got to see her children grow up, the children who never got to grow up, the silence, the absence. You feel the void. And it may sound contradictory to say you feel a void because a void, but that's exactly what it is. And that's why I'm so pleased to have been here at your IC, that's the right term,
you? Yes.
and feel the energy, because this is the future. You are the future, and you have to know not what you're fighting against hatred, fighting against Jew hatred, which is what anti-Semitism is, as well as other forms, but specifically against Jew hatred. But you also have to know what you're fighting for the tradition, for the culture, for the heritage, for the history in all its manifestation. Too many people, including too many Jews, know how Jews died, but not how Jews live. So even as you fight this fight against, celebrate who you are, learn more about who you are. Jews have such a rich and varied heritage, culture, and one of the oldest continuing cultures in the world. Um, and you should celebrate it even as you protect it from attacks from without.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to speak with you today. BBYO is so honored to have you with us here today, and thank you for your time.
It was an honor to be here, and thank you.